I return to Let's Play Coteries of New York. Still learning new things. Methuselahs. Methuselahs are vampires who existed for millennium. An elder who no longer participates in kindred society. Methuselahs are rumored to hail from the 4th and 5th generations. They are old. Lineage, a vampire's bloodline, the kindred sires, sires, etc. An archaic term. Thin bloods. Vampires with blood so diluted they retain many human traits. The thin bloods are invariably clanless. Survivors of the last decade of pogroms, prejudice, and ostracization. Christmas. Their numbers now swell. Their messy street alchemy and ability to pass as humans makes them uniquely suited to thrive outside kindred society and make their own fate in the postmodern nights. The thin-blooded can be of any mortal origin and are not affected by their parents' clan's curse, nor by their preferences in the same degree as their sire. In 2009, the Inner Circle of the Camarilla issued an edict that all thin-blooded must be branded or tattooed with the mark of the crescent moon. Inked by a Tremere tattoo artist or scorched with a beam of sunlight, the brand is irreversible. Many kindred still view the thin bloods as a threat to the Masquerade, weaklings, runoffs, abortions, and will destroy them if given the chance. Those who don't despise thin bloods tend to call them the young ones, chameleons, or duskborns. Okay, we are truly now, with our circle of friends, on our way to being outsiders, but that's okay. We might be able to get more into this circle. Let's have a rest. Not long after you wake up tonight, Gregory knocks on the door of your apartment. Hey, I came to pick you up. Ms. Langley wants to see you. We're supposed to be nonconformist here, but I think we're pushing our luck if we really try to get away from that, especially since we have nowhere else to go right now. Probably not a good idea to do that just yet. Well, my freedom was good while it lasted. Those last 2 nights were nice. I had freedom, initiative. Good while it lasted, I guess. He smiles apologetically. Don't shoot the messenger. The car's waiting. Shall we? You wrestle with the same thoughts as a few nights ago. Maybe you should just leave, disappear, let Sophie find someone else to employ. But then you remember the Anarch thug being cut down by Kadir and how close you were to the same fate, not even a week ago. That it might still happen if you step out of line. You follow suit. As with your previous visit here, Sophie seems not entirely present when you enter. Her eyes are locked onto one of the paintings in the room. You're pretty sure it was here earlier, but she's behaving as if she's seeing it for the first time in her life, entirely entranced. Gregory clears his throat. Sophie turns to the both of you, a bit of irritation in her countenance that soon gives way to a pleasant, warm smile. You're here. Excellent. Thank you, Gregory. Her driver leaves, and she turns her attention to you. I hope you had a good few nights, well, one anyway, I guess, and made some new acquaintances, but I have to say, I'm happy to see you, Eric. Thank you for coming. The change in mood of the room is so sudden and startling it makes you consider the true power of vampiric charisma. Rationally, you know you're being manipulated, but you don't even care. Her eyes, her motions, her entire body language all feel 100% genuine in expressing legitimate interest in you and your well-being. Can I have a drink? I have a request for you this night. I need you to find somebody for me and make a delivery. She points to the statue at the side of the room. You notice a plain-looking flash drive lying on the edge where the inanimate archer's bow touches the pedestal. The man you'll be looking for calls himself Kaiser. He has eyes and ears all over New York, and it's rare for something to happen here without his knowledge. I'll need you to take this flash drive and bring it to him. In exchange, he will give you an address, which I need to know as soon as possible. You're about to ask what's on the drive, but Sophie proves to be one step ahead of you. But don't worry about the contents. They are encrypted, a precaution for if the data falls into the wrong hands. But it won't, correct? She gives you a smile that just a handful of nights ago would make you feel like melting. Oh, and Eric, Kaiser is a Nosferatu, that twisted, deformed lineage of kindred. Not a problem. He's old, and his age has made him even more paranoid than others of this clan tend to be. He holds many havens and changes them often. From what I've gathered, he or one of his servants should be found at the park on Coney Island tonight. You'll have to identify them somehow. Now, if they're Nosferatu, that should not be too difficult. I'm told Kaiser spent many of his nights these past few years being driven around the city in a black limo. Maybe keep an eye out for it. That smile again, but much shorter. Um, do I need to know more about him? And we're prying into business that doesn't affect me. And I think it's been established that she can ask whatever she wants of me just because of the rules. Anything more on him? He's been here a long time, about as long as I have. He got into a lot of trouble for exchanging information with both the Anarchs and the Camarilla in the past, but ultimately got off scot-free. Kaiser's web of information proved to be strong enough to shield him from the consequences of playing both sides. Some say that's the best proof of his abilities. In any case, be careful when talking to him. He's very particular about everyone's etiquette except his own. Good night, and good luck. She flashes one last smile at you and turns back to the painting, clearly done with the conversation. You pocket the flash drive and head out toward Coney Island. It takes you the better part of an hour to reach the lights and sounds of the Coney Island amusement park from the city. The drive is almost pleasant this time of night. Thank God for Beltway Park. But wow, Belt Parkway. This is not good either. There are plenty of people here tonight, but nobody who stands out as a traveling purveyor of secrets. Then again, if they did stand out, it would be kind of pointless, right? Nothing to do but figure out the right approach. First, I need a drink. On a bum, though. This isn't going to be very good, but I'm getting desperate. Temporarily stumped, you feel frustration building inside. You've come to recognize what this is. Hunger. The beast calling to indulge your vice and lash out. It has to be silenced. You take a short walk away from the lights into one of the less frequented, poorly lit areas and see if any options reveal themselves. One does. An older bum has settled himself in a small niche between two buildings and has just begun, loudly but incoherently, praying. Hard to say who he's praying to, but he's entirely engrossed. Good for you. He barely sees you coming, and you bite down, trying to ignore the smell of unwashed body and soiled blanket underneath. The taste is... Hold up, that's familiar. Yeah. This guy's on a party pill, or two. Or you stop drinking. You feel woozy, but happy. The world spins a bit, then starts spinning the other way. You get it under control. And then you don't. You feel your thoughts scattering in all directions, every detail of your surroundings turning into a potential fascination. Faraway lights and sounds composing a beautiful symphony. You bask in the afterglow of a successful feeding, feeling like you're on top of the world, superhuman, a master of the night, a god. A few tangents later, a stray thought saying, "This isn't good," breaks through the layers of noise inside your head, and you realize you've been standing in place for 15 minutes. And staring at you intently is a man with a gun in his hand. Oh, there he is. Stay put. There's someone who'd like to have a word with you. We're going to have to wait for him, right here. Who the fuck are you? Your words come out slurred, barely coherent, though this is not going to go over well. Wow, easy there, buddy. He nods to his gun. I said stay put. The hum of a car engine and the soft screech of brakes reach your ears. The highlights of a black limo pierce the night. And there's the boss. Let's go. He motions towards the lights with his gun. You're coming to, finally in charge of your body, or at least you think so. The car's doors open, but nobody comes out. The stranger keeps motioning to the car. You hope it's the limo you expect. For a moment, you're pretty sure that what you see inside the car is just the bum's drugged blood kicking in for an encore. The inside of the limo used to be a luxury lounge, the kind with a stripper pole and a bar full of alcohol, but it currently has none of that. Instead, there are monitors and consoles. There are dozens of displays, each one showing something different. Surveillance camera footage, stock market quotes, television news, emails, tweets, silent movies, lo-fi footage of a gory torture session. You wonder if the limo's owner can focus on anything while surrounded by all of this visual noise and then realize there's nobody there. Or is there? A man blinks into existence on a leather-covered couch, attempting to maintain something that approximates a regal presence. You're 100% sure it's Kaiser. Surrounded by dimly lit computer screens, its features are even more ghastly than you imagined, all sharp angles of twisted bone, mangled flesh, and crooked teeth. He bears them in an awful parody of a smile. The door closes behind you. This is a very tall limo. Is it like a Hummer limo, or... So, the waste of good blood outside tells me Sophie Langley sent you, huh? You've got something for me? You reluctantly pull the flash drive from your pocket and slowly pass it to the Kaiser. To Kaiser. That's his name. Kaiser. He plugs it into a USB port on the arm of his chair and displays the data on one of the screens that happen to be turned away from you. It takes him about a minute to access the data. Let me guess, this from Langley? She said she'd have something like this. You her new flunky? You have to bite your tongue to keep from arguing with the word he chose, but you nod. Who do you people think I am? I saw this footage a week ago. He removes the flash drive and throws it back at you in disgust. Tell Sophie the deal's off. She wants her address. She can give me something else. If this guy's as old as we are told, I doubt this is going to work. We're also supposed to be aggressive. I really doubt this is going to work. Also, he's worried about etiquette. Ask how you can make it up to him. I'm sorry this proved disappointing to you, Mr. Kaiser. Can I do something to make it up to you? He seems genuinely impressed. Now that's what I'd like to hear. Yeah, in fact, I was just about to mention it. I have something in mind. We'll talk again soon. You do that for me, the address is yours. Now, would you be so kind as to get the fuck out of my car? You're pretty sure you're done here. You get out, close the door behind you, and the car immediately starts backing up. The opaque windows slide past you, and soon the limo is on its way. Kaiser's lackey is nowhere to be seen, so you make your way to your car and drive back, wondering what tomorrow brings. When did I get a car? We've always been chauffeured around. Oh, we can go talk to him further. Okay, so these are quest lines then. So we completely worked the Gangrel one. That's spectacular. Okay, well, who should we go for next then? As far as outcasts go, that would probably be the Malkavian. So let's give this a shot. Sophie suggested you meet Hope, a reclusive member of the Malkavian clan. She's supposedly holed up in an internet cafe in Lower Manhattan. See, just these scenarios alone make way more sense than what we did. She's hanging out in a park, so we stumble upon her hideout, we get attacked, and then we have to be like, yeah, I'm just here to make friends. Like, no introduction, no... I don't know, I feel like we were set up to fail on that one. Anyway, let's go try and search for Hope. It's a quiet, moody internet cafe. Half its space serves as a comfy coffee bar these days, but behind a glass wall, it still has a space dedicated to rows of PCs. From the street, you can notice tired adults in casual clothes typing away absent-mindedly, and some bored kids wasting the late evening hours on colorful online games. If Sophie's intel is to be believed, this is where Hope has set up her haven. One of the waiters is standing outside the building, gazing at the sky with a smartphone in one hand and a vape pen in the other. You approach the man and tell him, I'm looking for Hope. Sure, let's just be upfront about it. He releases a soft chuckle. Yeah, you and me both. The man slowly takes a drag from his e-cig, sizing you up and down in silence. After a long, awkward moment, when you're ready to leave him be, he raises his voice again. Come, right this way. He heads back into the cafe and you follow his lead. When you make your way through the space with computers, no one averts their gaze from the spreadsheets, emails, Facebook profiles, or games of Fortnite. Who works on Excel in an internet cafe? It's a common sight, one you wouldn't have paid much attention to a few weeks ago, but now it seems so unnervingly quaint. Would they still be spending their time like this if they were immortal? The waiter unlocks an unassuming door at the end of the room and lets you inside. You two swiftly make your way through a labyrinth of sterile gray corridors, taking confusing twists and turns. Just unquestioningly, huh? Like, hey, I want to meet the chick who's hiding here. Okay, sure, let me take you to her. Feels like you're traveling into a different world, crossing one invisible portal after another. Eventually, you reach your destination. Your guide motions you to enter a dark room with a lone source of pale light, a computer screen in the distance beckoning you to come closer. As you do, you hear the doors shutting behind your back and a short chuckle echoing behind it. Is this the place? Nothing else to do but sit on a chair in front of the computer. The monitor displays a modern chat application. A cursor is blinking in the user nickname entry field in the middle of the screen, obviously expecting you to input your handle. After brief consideration, you type in... Now, I'm assuming that Miss Malkavian here is probably watching what we type in, somehow, some way. So just putting in our name is going to be boring. Something goofy, I don't know, might come off as okay. A random string of characters might be like, oh, that's very esoteric. What does that mean? Chaos. This is the chaos answer. Is that appropriate? Let's try this. After QWERTY turns out to have been taken by someone else, you settle on QWERTY. That's not really a random string of numbers. After a few seconds, the chat window opens, and messages start appearing on the screen in quick succession. Hostage executioner. Just to be clear, I don't have... Whoa, 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 whoa. Identify yourself within 2 minutes or get banned. Oh boy. The chat goes silent, everyone seemingly waiting for you to say something before proceeding. This must be a close-knit group. Better say something before they kick you out. I'm looking for Hope. Is she here? Who the fuck are you? This is meant to be a safe channel, investigating what went wrong. How'd they get here? Stay calm, okay. Am I in trouble now? Regret the day you decided to spy on us. Can you do presence online? Or should I actually say the waiter brought me here? Let's try this. You've had enough of these trash-talking randoms. Time to teach them some respect. Your blood fires up, ancient power starts coursing through your veins, fingers tapping the keyboard buttons on their own. People better stay quiet if you know what's good for you. You have no idea who you're messing with. You will obey me. Okay, this is maybe a little bit too aggressive here. The chat goes silent once again, and then explodes. Yeah, I didn't think this was gonna work. Guess your powers don't work online. Go figure. You know your cheeks could turn blood red right now if they could. Yeah, what the fuck? Sentenced to death for a shitty basic online handle. Okay, so... Split second after you read the message, you feel someone's arms tightening around your neck. The violent return to reality catches you off guard. A jolt of panic rushes through your brain, paralyzing you momentarily. You've come to the wrong chat room, motherfucker. A ridiculous whisper rings out next to your ear, and the grip under your head gets even tighter. I'm really not very good at socializing, am I? You start struggling, but even with your newfound supernatural strength, you're having trouble breaking out. This isn't a normal human you're dealing with. Last words? Sophie sent me. I mean, yeah. Langley? The hand holding your chin shifts its position slightly. By the way, who still has chat rooms? Don't struggle, or I will break your windpipe, or my phone, which would end even worse for you. Sounds of a camera shutter and light flashing. Did they just take some selfies of you? With you? With you? Selfies with you? Wow. Alright, that's enough fun. I'm letting you go. We can have a talk. Don't do anything stupid, Mr. Intruder. Pretty please. The mysterious assailant loosens their grip on you and gently pushes you away. You quickly turn to take a look at them. Let me just finish this. It's a pale blonde woman in her 20s, giving you slightly judgmental looks while rapidly tapping away at her phone screen. First, you notice her outrageous outfit, seemingly thrown together from random thrift store finds. Then you take note of her tattoos, a sprawling tapestry of odd patterns and designs covering every visible part of her body. At first glance, it all seems aimless, but it has a consistent sense of style upon closer inspection. Her eyes focus on you for a second. Give you a scare, huh? Sorry, that's what you get for entering a lady's haven without her permission. Dude, the waiter sent me! And she's back to her phone. With her relatively small build, it's hard to believe you had trouble overpowering her physically. But then again, nothing is what it seems when it comes to the undead, and even compared to the vampires you've met so far, she comes off as an eccentric, curious presence. She shoots you another glance, noticing you're still cautious of her. Calm yourself, man. I won't pull anything like this anymore. It was just feel stupid saying it out loud, a vibe check. You're right. It feels stupid reading that, too. What the hell? Vibe check? Dot, dot, dot. What the... I am imagining these all go to the same place. What? Yeah. I got a glimpse of your vibe on the internet in a dangerous situation. I'd say I've got a pretty good idea about who you really are. I'm Hope, by the way. If you're here, you've probably heard of me, so I went ahead and skipped the pleasantries. But come to think of it, I might have skipped too many of those. Yeah, she definitely fits the description you were given by Sophie. I still can't believe you got so mad online. You actually tried to use your powers on people talking trash about you from who knows where. Jesus. But you know, I kind of respect that dedication. It's amusing. Well, I mean, we're supposed to be a hot-headed group. I feel like maybe that was the right choice, even though it was obviously the wrong choice. But I don't think playing the whole simpering, muling, trying to placate everybody's going to work. We need to be smart, obviously, you know, like not getting angry with the Kaiser. But yeah, I've got to get into the role-playing mindset for this game, I think. Anyway, don't worry about the chat. It's all a game to us. No hard feelings, okay? I'll introduce you later. On the monitor, the chatter continues normally. Your visit is like yesterday's news, no longer relevant to anything. And to be fair, I feel like this was entrapment anyway. I mean, the whole thing was just left open for us. It was a test. But, look, if we're going to talk about you, you should have something to say, too. What are you doing here? About time, she asked. Note to self, she really loves the sound of her own voice. Well, I'm building a coterie. I'm building a party of adventurers, and I would like your help. I mean, we could just repeat this, and she might be like, well, yeah. Do I need help? With what exactly? We were just told to make friends. I'm not sure I'd need help. We'll just repeat this. Sophie Langley sent me. Hope rolls her eyes. Yeah, you said that already. You think I'm an idiot or something? I'm going to say this once. Only once. Please, don't be boring. She starts tapping on her phone again. After a few seconds, some kind of realization dawns on her face and she turns back to you. Wait. Shit. Are you the new Langley plaything? Word seems to be getting around fast. Of course you are. It was obvious the second Langley got her hands on a new servant, she'd start building a network. Your emissions tell me that could really come in handy when... But Langley, that's a risky game. This kind of ambition attracts too much attention. Piss off. But then again, fucking Kara. She seems to be having a spirited argument with herself, only parts of it audible. Is it just you, or do her facial expressions or body language change a bit between one sentence and another? Before you make certain it's not just your eyes playing tricks on you, she focuses half her attention back on you. The other half, of course, is still obsessed with the smartphone. Listen, I'm not saying I'm not interested in cooperation, but before I make a decision, I need to make sure you sort of understand me and that I sort of understand you. Since I was planning to put on a show before you came here, I propose a little game. Hope absent-mindedly spins her phone in her hand, considering how to put her thoughts into words. Then she approaches a switch on the wall and flicks it. Neon lights flare up, illuminating the room. You take a look around. The room is certainly unique. It looks like a butcher's room, repurposed to be a living space. The modern computer in front of you starkly contrasts the ominous industrial walls. Not sure a frieze would be considered industrial. At the back, there's an overwrought bed covered in velvet and meat hooks hanging above it. On top of the bed sheets, you notice what seem to be pieces of elaborate S&M equipment and a camera. Wait a minute. You want my help? Moderate my cam show. Cam show? Your eyebrows twitch involuntarily. This is definitely not the kind of request you expected to hear tonight. She notices your confusion. Take it or leave it, buddy. You just became a kindred, but you want to become my partner in crime? Show me you can handle yourself while watching my back in my everyday environment. And the front and the... She's serious. The show starts in 10 minutes. If you think if you think yourself better than this, better walk out the door right now. I won't hold a grudge. I've got better things to do. As if to prove it, she looks at something displayed on her phone and cracks a brief grin. Another reply typed down with absurd speed. Tap, 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 tap. 9 minutes. It's now or never. Show moderator. Risk of violating the Masquerade? Hi. Content warnings? Oh, yes. So, do you take the job? I mean, if I have to... Nah, why the hell not? Hope brightens up, and her smile looks surprisingly sincere. Excellent. I promise you might find this interesting in more ways than one. Alright, give me a second. She spends a minute setting up the computer you used before, then urges you to sit down. The explanation of the moderator's functionalities is simple. It boils down to ignoring anyone who doesn't disrupt the chat, banning anyone who does, and kicking anyone who's causing minor trouble. 5 minutes later, she's already online, sitting on her bed in a provocative pose. It is a sex show, isn't it? Her voice, previously hushed, rings out with full force. How are you doing tonight, hopefuls? You peek at the chat. Okay, but do I get to... I mean, I don't need to do any of this, right? There's nothing yet. You're tempted to try the kick and ban prompts as soon as possible, but obviously you won't punish someone for a little dirty talk. Thank you! Today's show is quite special. Please welcome our new moderator, QWERTY. We'll just shorten that. Sorry for sentencing you to death earlier. At least the community here seems to be a bit more welcoming this time. Looks like this place has an established hazing ritual, or maybe they and Hope came up with one, specifically for you, who knows. You decide to stay silent. Eventually people stop riffing on you and focus entirely on the star of the show. Alright, let's start this one with a bang, shall we? So this is where the strip show starts. You raise your head, curious about what kind of performance she's going for. First, she opens her mouth and reveals her retractable fangs in front of the camera. Is that... sure? A thing? Right off the bat, the online audience is treated to a sight of her wholly human set of teeth turning into a monster's maw. The image is both revolting and fascinating, and definitely breaks the Masquerade. She raises her left wrist for everyone to see, and then bites. Fangs immediately turn her arm into a horrifying, gory mess. It's unclear if she's used them to slash or bite, but one thing's for sure, no ordinary human could cause such damage. If an ordinary human suffered such a wound, you'd expect a geyser of blood to appear too, but that doesn't happen. Hope's technically a corpse, so it's impossible. She flashes a monstrous smile and starts smearing vitae all over her hand to maximize the impact of the violent image. Then she starts drinking it up. I wonder if maybe at the beginning of this series I should have put a content warning myself on what this game was going to be like. She makes it a point to make the sight as gruesome as possible, looking like a hyena feasting on a corpse. The contrast of her behavior with her look of an Instagram model is stunning. Once she's done, she reveals her wrist to the camera for the last time. She starts making theatrical gestures with her right hand as the wound begins to mend. Shortly after, the wound is gone. Like a magician's trick, her left hand looks like nothing bad ever happened to it. Here's an appetizer. First blood to kick off the show. While you're wondering what the hell is going on, Hope catches a glimpse of your bewildered face and turns into your direction. How's that for an opening? You're shooting snuff? This is not a sex show? Sex? What were you counting on, me getting naked in front of you or something? Oh, honey, we've just met each other. If you expected a strip show, yeah, sorry to disappoint. This is more like, live-streamed digital art. The erotic subtext is there, of course. You peek at the chat. They're going wild. But eroticism is not the key here. It's vampirism. It's a new frontier, a living art installation. In the early 90s, the Japanese artists kept producing these videotapes with beautiful women committing gory harakiri. Those are an inspiration. She bares her fangs again in a devious grin. But I have no interest in auto-destruction or turning myself into a victim. This is a celebration of a body I love, not self-inflicted punishment. The audience came here to marvel at a beautiful vampire and her awe-inspiring powers. Mending wounds is just one of these powers. The people watching can pay to see more. Oh, and don't worry, the only things the audience can see and hear are the things I allow them to. We can talk freely. Just remember to moderate the chat, will you? Wait, so she has power over digital media, but I don't? High risk of violating the Masquerade. What a joke. She's blatantly breaching it in front of anonymous viewers. Still speechless, you turn your attention to the screen. This is making this very difficult for me to know whether I'm going to be having to do moderation stuff here. Well, this is kind of spammy. Not really. Not necessarily something that I would consider ban-worthy. And then this guy is just probably one of her better customers. I mean, that's the kind of guy you get to give you money. I don't know, should we try a ban on this? Or a kick? What's really the difference here? I would assume that a ban means that it's like timed. Can we do that? Whereas kicking sounds more permanent. And really both of them do. Can we try to ban? Act like a normal human being, you freak. The ban hammer drops, accompanied by a message that's meant to serve as a warning to everyone else. The chat slows down, and you hear Hope's annoyed voice. Okay, it didn't let me choose who I was banning. You want to go Reign of Terror on my chat so that everyone is afraid to post? What the fuck are you doing? Revert that ban now. See, it didn't specify who I was banning. The spam, you would think, would be something that would be okay. I mean, whatever. Anyway, she goes on to apologize for your behavior to the audience. You recline in your chair and wonder how the hell you ended up like this. A special message appears in the chat log claiming somebody has successfully sponsored the first goal of the show. Hope smiles and picks up a bag of blood from underneath the bed. It must have been retrieved from a blood bank. She showcases the label to the cameras for everyone to see. Okay. Now, so they kind of hinted that the Malkavians have the gift of sight, and I thought, maybe this would be useful to me, but I, at this point, can't see what the point is in having her as a companion. Hope pours all contents of the bag in her throat. You have no doubt it's real blood, but wonder why the viewers would be so satisfied with something that's so easy to fake. Don't worry, it pays well enough. You don't even bother to tell her this is not what you're thinking about. Safe to assume she knows. So, what do you know about the Kindred and the Internet? Is this it? Now we're having this conversation while you're in the middle of a show? Have they told you anything? While she's waiting for someone to sponsor her next vampiric feat, she decides to start a conversation. Is this the right time? Is it not? I think you need to utilize every moment to the fullest if you don't want to feel as dead as you are. I'm busy waiting, so I might as well teach you about the world you're about to enter. See, some of us used to experiment with our own secure networks. We tried to build our own information hubs, social networks, everything. She's still working the phone in one hand while looking for something under the bed with the other. On how many things can she concentrate at one time exactly? And not only is she violating the Masquerade, Sophie also did warn us about the whole you should not be going online, mostly because of stuff like this. I would imagine how easy it is to break the Masquerade. Then one day the NSA got in. Turns out elders never really got the hang of proper security practices, or the sigils they used to smear on their screens didn't exactly work as advertised. Then of course all the other three-lettered intelligence agencies in the world got the intel. A lot of them decided bloodsuckers were the perfect new enemies for our post-9/11 times. The Second Inquisition came into being. Ever heard of it? A lot of our kind died just because they were too present online. Right now, the remains of our old network serve as government honeypots, kept alive to attract fledglings and hunt them down. You post certain keywords on Twitter or Facebook, you get tagged for investigation. You fit certain patterns, you get tagged for investigation. So there's a certain thrill in becoming an online presence without attracting attention from the authorities. She stretches on the bed. I hope you're still monitoring the chat. Of course not. You're not as good as dividing your attention as she is. You correct your mistake and check the recent messages. Hope, more like my favorite Hope. Is this okay? Hope has crabs and gonorrhea. Hey, is that one okay to ban? So, I'm not certain then what the difference is between the effects here. Kicking from chat and banning from chat, in my mind and experience, are the same thing. I guess I'm not social media savvy enough to know the difference here. Ban Hammer! That kind of nickname only suggests trouble. You get rid of them permanently. Good job. She's keeping close tabs on you. Anyway, yeah. When the Nosferatu admitted to Camarilla their network got compromised, the elders went batshit insane. Internet communications became strictly forbidden. There were executions. A lot of people who use social media to secretly contact their mortal families and lovers got offed. That goes without saying. But if you weren't careful, even the most innocent web usage could result in being punished with final death. Thanks to user Dick Steele, the next goal has just gotten successfully funded. She raises her hand, 3 fingers up, 2 fingers up, 1 finger up. The countdown ends, and she immediately disappears from the screen like a ghost. You can still see her on the bed, but the live feed indicates nobody's there. When you deeply focus on the digital image, you swear you can make out some unusual glitching where her silhouette should be, but it could very well be a placebo. You ready for this? 3, 2, 1... A flash of the camera. The instant she reappears on the screen, she takes a selfie, sticking her tongue out in a provocative manner. The chat room explodes in cheers again. She is their vampire queen. You briefly wonder about her being glued to the screen. Is this the fantasy everyone is here for? A girl showing off cheap magic tricks while lazily browsing her social media? You know, I mean, it really occurs to me that this very thing could easily just be faked now in a world without vampires. You realize you were way out of your depth here. Meanwhile, Hope decides to continue her lecture. Those were some wild times, especially in New York. While most of them have no clue as to our real nature, a lot of clandestine organizations have classified us as national threats, and since this is where the towers fell, the agencies are very much present around here, looking for easy PR victories. Is no one affecting the vampires, or the demons, or the half-monsters, or the last SI raid here was just a few years ago, and it was a big one. It stirred up the hornet's nest something fierce. But although it's 2019, New York City is ruled by someone who got embraced before World War II, and the cam, as a whole, got really spooked and swore off the internet. Of course, they're not dumb and understand that you can't really coexist with modern kind without the internet. It's a gray zone right now, like piracy, technically frowned upon, but let the one without sin cast the first stone. The SI is a real threat, no joke, but in many senses, the darkest place is right under the candle. You take another look at the screen. Oh yeah, fun fact about being a vampire, we can sweat and pee if we just exert ourselves really hard. Some of us can even orgasm. We can even cry, but only tears of blood. It's something I always dreamed of doing when I was 14. Tears of blood, I think. So romantic, and it drives them crazy. As proof of her words, a scarlet tear starts running down her face. The chat goes wild. This seems to be exactly the kind of thing they're watching for. I mean, we could kick. And kicked. Just to be clear, you realize what we're doing here is a blatant breach of the Masquerade, right? Okay, apparently that was fine. I honestly expected you to leave or inform somebody by now, but you haven't, have you? That's not been an option for me to do. You try and focus on the chat. In any case, the last goal has just been funded. It's time for the great finale. This is what you've all been waiting for, right? Her voice has changed. She gets closer to the camera, letting her face fill the frame of the live feed. Her mesmerizing eyes are focused purely on the viewers. You wanted blood? Come out into the streets, claw out your neighbors' throats, slash their veins, and drink up. Okay. Hope's presence becomes absolutely horrifying, and it influences the chat in some incomprehensible way. Everyone starts typing like they're possessed. Liberate yourself from the shackles of ordinary mortality. Make them scream. Feel the warmth of their entrails. Everybody is going full Cthulhu here. What the hell is she doing to those people? What have you gotten yourself into? Transcend your bodies. Release the message of hope into the world. She jerks violently for a second and then falls down on the bed like a marionette that has just had its strings severed. She exhales loudly a few times and laughs. When she does, the room goes dark again. Alright, that's enough. Instead of continuing, she does something with her phone. The stream ends, and the chat instantly becomes dead quiet. Let me take over. The atmosphere in the room has completely changed. She's already put herself together and stood up. Now she's walking towards you. At Vulgar. What the fuck just happened? At Jerry. Guess the show is over. Everyone relax and go home. Hostage executioner. I was almost ready to come, bros. Hostage. I swear on my father's grave, one day I will find you and kick the ever-loving shit out of you. After every line she delivers, she changes her voice. The way she put... Oh my god, it was all her. She's living a fantasy. It was all her. Her voices in her head. After every line she delivers, she changes her voice, the way she puts her lips together, and even the way she moves. You caught glimpses of her acting this way. That's how she knew who I kicked in band and all that shit. But now, only now, have you started to figure it out. Wait a minute, does that mean... I'm immortal, I'm bored, I'm separated from most vampires in the city by a generational chasm, and I'm so lonely. The internet used to be my only friend. Years ago I started searching tulpas, collective unconsciousness, all the mumbo-jumbo at the intersection of psychology and spirituality, and I decided to experiment. The show was fake. A few years later I was an Instagram fashionista, a successful erotic model, a vital part of pop culture commentariat, a viral shitposter, a cryptocurrency expert. All of my internet selves started signal boosting each other, paving the way for new ones. I became a one-woman empire surrounded by legions of psycho fans. The chat was fake. Some may think of it as dissociative identity disorder, but that's bullshit. Everyone has online alter egos they buried. says Gaz. I just resurrected them, gave birth to new ones, and let them crossbreed. Her constant tapping at the phone, even during the show, somehow she's capable of impersonating an entire chat room. I don't even have a self that could dissociate or be mentally ill. I'm a host, a living database. I live because I find it fun to be an information conduit, to process trends and support the ones I deem worthy. There was no Masquerade violation. She was showing off her skills all along. She put you into a world of pure fiction, the same way she was testing you when she attacked you from the back. Damn, she's good at this. Of course, you can just ignore what I'm saying and decide I'm just another deranged Malkavian, but hey, annihilation of the self is the only way to survive in the 21st century. If there ever was an era that demanded images of beautiful people transcending beyond humanity and inspiring others to do the same, it's this one. Although for now, because of Masquerade, my audience is quite limited. Speaking of, you want to be the star of my next movie? Need some time to mull it over? Sure. No, sorry to disappoint. But yeah, your test is over. Now the question is, do I want to work with you? She puts away her phone for the first time since you've met her and gives you a good hard look. Sorry, cutie, I don't think it'll work out. It's not me, it's you and your vibes. You're kinda dumb and boring. You want to protest, but then you realize how many times you've made a fool of yourself in front of her tonight. She looks honestly disappointed. Alright, get out. Through the door, go right, keep heading straight until you reach the stairs, red door on the left. You should be able to find your way from there. I'll send you our selfie together. Whenever you look at it, remember that even if apart, we'll still be together in a way. So if I get in trouble because of something I've shown you here tonight, you might go down as an accomplice. Capiche? She leads you out and loudly shuts the door behind your back. The sound somehow drives the finality of her decision home. Oh well. That was a complete waste of time. And much longer waste of time, at least slightly more interesting. You follow the directions and after a brief period of wandering emerge from the labyrinth of gray corridors in a cluttered back alley. Back on the streets again. You'll have to survive them without hope. Well, at least we got a friend anyway, and it's time to rest. Well, that was interesting, if incredibly disappointing. I'm frankly not quite sure how I was supposed to pass the test, unless maybe at the end there I was supposed to say sure. Whatever. This character is very obviously not good with women. Anyway, I'll end this one here. I'll see you next time.